Welcome to Out There, the show that focuses on the genres of science fiction, fantasy, and horror on television, the big screen, the media, the internet, and everywhere else in the universe. Sit down in your favorite electric chair, pour yourself a pint of blood, and open your psychic connection because you're connected to Out There.
Welcome to another episode of Out There. I have with me David Michael Latt from The Asylum, writer, director, producer, founder. So they love you.
I know, it's crazy.
Sharknado fans everywhere. David, 25 years. You're celebrating the 25th anniversary of The Asylum. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's
and you've
a
been part of
milestone.
that. You were part of that, so it's all good.
I'm thrilled to be part of that. You had a big party for AFM last year. You rented out the Santa Monica Pier Amusement Park.
We did. We
We
don't do anything.
That's a big deal.
We don't do anything half-ass. Well, except for our movies.
As long as the parties are big, that's all that matters. $25 in gameplay on the Boardwalk Games, which was great.
Oh, wait, that's news to me. We did what?
Oh, that's the extra bill you got that you weren't
Makes
aware
sense
of.
now.
Yeah, I walked away with a stuffed panda and an octopus.
Great.
It was.
I was missing. My kids were missing a stuffed panda and octopus, so now I know where it went.
That was the two. Yeah.
Okay.
They were just sitting there on a bench next to two kids. So I grabbed it and.
Yeah. All right. We're done.
What
here
a
then.
party!
Okay.
What a party that was.
It was fun.
My date and I were on the carousel, and we had just gotten to the top. What a view! And the power went out.
We don't pay our bills.
Power went out on the.
Yeah.
The pier was like, what? Someone said, oh, that's Asylum.
Yeah. You know, you just roll with the punches, and we don't know who, part of that airplane gag is like, what is this for? Oops, sorry. And we plugged back the extension cord, and then the whole pier went back on again. But yeah, that must have been fun.
That was we had the best view in the whole place.
Yeah,
it was fun up
That's
there.
why I don't do anything. I just stay on the ground, because I know the Asylum, and I expected the power to go out. So and aliens to attack and murders to happen, and the pier to collapse. To the
so
ground.
much to do.
Yeah, there's a lot.
In 2 hours. And funnel cones, free food and funnel cones. It was really fantastic.
The only thing I demanded, because my partners, I guess, like drinking, so they liked the open bar. I said, look, I just want dots available, the dipping dots available until midnight. Because last time we did this 15-year party at the pier, they closed at 10, and I couldn't get any dipping dots.
What?
So I said, look, I don't care what we do. We just have to have the
dipping dots.
Yeah, this is very fascinating to your viewers, but there you go. I demanded the dipping dots. That was my diva moment.
So you made a special movie for the 25th anniversary, and it was an amalgamation of a lot of your films, right? Characters?
Yeah, it was our 25th anniversary film, Armageddon. It was a fun project to do. We got to see a lot of old faces from, 25 years of making movies and stuff. And, we used the Asylum universe as the models for the films, and it was
Brilliant.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was had audition, they said you need to have done at least 2 Asylum films to qualify to be in this. I go, I did 3. So
I think we tried to. There were just so many people that wanted to be in. I think we were at like 5, really, where we wanted to be. But so that's So hopefully everybody is in there a recognizable face after about 5 of these movies. I think Sarah did a good 15.
Oh yeah,
who was the lead, and the guy did about 10, and So it's a nice family.
It's a record.
It's we've had Gerald Webb did about 28 of our films.
Wow.
Yeah, he was our casting director too, so he kind of cast himself and things. But luckily, he's a very good actor. So
if you need a casting director, I'm
there you
available.
Go. There you go.
I'm a very hard worker.
You are a hard worker.
So where can people see it now?
The Asylum has a lot of fast channels, which means that we have movie channels on free television like Pluto and Tubi and Roku and Freezy and all the words that sound like they're made up.
But aren't.
And then we have pay channels like In Demand and stuff.
So it's on multiple platforms.
Multiple platforms, absolutely, yeah. That seems to be where all these, shows domestically live. Internationally, we have different places where they kind of pop up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've got a little teaser for that. Let's take a look.
Okay.
Yeah! Woo!
So that was a teaser for our 25 years of Asylum shows. We've made about 300 movies.
Crazy.
We did a few TV series and whatnot. So all whittled down to 30 seconds of trailer.
It's a lot of sharks, zombies, explosions.
Yeah, I think
robots.
It's funny. It's depending on where you entered the Asylum universe. We're either the horror company, we're the mockbuster company. We did the thrillers for Lifetime. We do rom-coms. We do all the genres. So religious movies. I mean, we're known for certain things. Certainly Sharknado, but outside of that, it's interesting, the fan base.
Well, let's talk about the mockbusters.
Sure.
You do knockoffs or similar titles to the blockbuster films at the time. For example, instead of Transformers, you did Transmorphers, but you actually released it 2 days before Transformers.
Sure.
That's what it says on Wikipedia. I'm just reading what it said, but
sure. I mean, when we do the mockbusters, which are not a lot of what we do, we try and time it to the release of what the studios are doing.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah. So it is a little more shocking to hear that back in the day we did it before the release, just simply because we tend to always miss deadlines. So,
well, you didn't this time.
No, we didn't. All right, there you go.
They had a missed deadline, and you took advantage of it.
They probably did. It's probably more apropos, yes.
One company did Snakes on Planes. You did Snakes on Trains.
Yes.
Instead of The Day the Earth Stood Still, you did The Day the Earth Stopped.
It stopped.
It's the same thing. It stopped. Well, it's still, nothing's happening.
See, right. Well, in our films, at least something's happened. We get rid of the drama. It's usually a lot of genre action.
One company did Pacific Rim. You did Atlantic Rim. Completely different.
Completely different.
Abraham Lincoln versus Vampires. You did Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies. Not the same movie.
Do I need to get my lawyer involved? Are you like rattling off a list of? Am I in trouble here? Is this? Okay.
Yeah, the lawyer will be calling in on Zoom any minute now. Great. I'm just sort of prepping him. And Jurassic World, you did Triassic World.
We did, and others as well. We've had a lot of
Triassic World sounds cooler to me.
I think so. Triassic time was much more dangerous than Jurassic time. Please, everyone knows that.
If you're into archaeology at all, you know what.
Then you wouldn't watch our movie, yeah, because
you're watching Indiana Jones.
The logic is not going to work.
You're not watching this stuff. So Steve Jobs started Apple computers in his garage. How'd you guys get started?
In Steve's garage. We
when he wasn't doing on the
right.
weekends,
We had to move all this crap out, and we started making movies. Well, it happened a little bit over 25 years ago. My partner and I, David Romao, we had made a film or two prior to starting our company. We had day jobs, and we were both fired in the same month of our day jobs. He worked at Village Roadshow. I worked at a company called Chimera Multimedia. We were doing educational videos. And
you're still doing educational videos.
Yeah, pretty much. And so we took that as kind of a calling that we should probably just, all right, no one else is going to hire us in this world. Let's go start our own company and do this legitimately. Sure. So for the first 4 years, we were a distribution company for the most part. We worked out of his apartment. So not
better
out
than
of
a garage.
Yeah, a little better in the garage. Although
it's got a stove and a refrigerator.
My partner would still be late for meetings, even though he'd be sleeping in the next room.
You're late again. Can't you make a deadline?
I'm always early. He's always late. So between the two of us, we get there on time. So we would just kind of take on any jobs we could. Romaui's position has always been to find new jobs and new opportunities. That's kind of his, I call him the Steve Jobs of the company, where he just has that vision and goes after it and makes things happen. And well, I'm the one who makes things happen. And so, a lot of different, roads that we took got us to production, which is where we wanted to be, at the end of the day. And so I handle all the production part of it. I don't handle really the business part of it. And so at any given time, I'm producing a movie. So that's kind of the origin story.
See, he's more the business partner and you're more the hands-on?
Yeah, I always say that he makes the money, I spend the money. It works out very well.
Gotta have money to spend money.
There you go. And we started with another partner, Sherry Strain. She was also at Village Roadshow. She was also let go. I think she was let go, or she was like, "Oh, this is interesting between the two of you guys making a movie, making movies. Let's go. I'd like to kind of do that as well." And so it was the three of us working out of the apartment. I don't want to just characterize it just the two of us. It was three of us, and
there was only one bed, which was
well, we won't go there. That. It was crazy times back in the 90s.
Crazy 90s.
We were all hippies back then. In our members-only jackets.
Everybody was living together.
Dogs sleeping with cats. And she handled a lot of the admin stuff, mostly. Romaui handled a lot of new business, and I handled kind of the grunt work stuff. Because I love production. I love everything about it. I could, and so I would... If I wasn't line producing one of the shows he brought in, I was editing trailers, I was editing things, I was putting together packages, doing key art, doing whatever. So, at the end of the day, I pretty much have done every position on set. Not well.
It's all hands on deck.
But I'm a little dangerous because I know a little bit of all of it. So when someone says, "Hey, we can't do that," I'm like, "Yeah, you can." And this is how
you can because I ain't doing it.
And this is how we're going to do it.
You will do it.
That's right.
That's fantastic. In 2005, you did a low-budget version, H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds.
Right.
Released the same year Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. Blockbuster Video ordered 100,000 copies.
And now they're bankrupt. What's your point? Causation with correlation we destroyed.
They spent all their money on you. They were investors really in your company.
They kind of were a little bit. They part of what we were doing was we were a distribution company, a first-time filmmaker, so art house movies. And so that's, look, we were young, we needed the money, we did art house movies, critically acclaimed art house movies. And that was a program
that don't sell.
But we discovered that we had this output deal with Hollywood Video. And we were releasing about 10 films every month of first-time filmmakers. And we had hundreds of titles. And they gave us an end cap, a lot of promotion. I mean, it was a whole thing. And so when we went to duplicate that over at Blockbuster, they went, we don't want this art house film crap. Right. We want genre films. And so we're like, great, we'll do genre films, and which is what we love to do anyway. So at the time, a new company was coming out called Lionsgate, and Lionsgate had their claws in all these genre films, especially horror.
Right.
And so when it came down to, hey, the Asylum's making an offer for your movie, or Lionsgate's going to make an offer, a really nice offer, well, we always lost. Right. So ultimately, this is a long story to your War of the Worlds, but ultimately, we convinced Blockbuster to say, hey, look, why don't we produce these films for you, because we can't acquire them.
Right.
Okay, so we'll make these genre movies, horror films. This is the cheapest way of going, and you'll release them twice, once a month, and then it became twice a month because it did so well, because we made them to order.
Sure.
And so we were down that track about two years into it, and I always wanted to make War of the Worlds. I'm a big fan of H.G. Wells, and I thought it was a perfect product,
classic.
And so we went. My partner Dave was like, they're not going to go for it. Paramount's already making it with Spielberg. It's not going to be a big thing, so let's not touch it. And that was in January. By October, I'm like, look, I had written the script, and I really wanted to do this.
We're doing this.
Well, no, I don't necessarily. It's still a democracy, but I said, look, I have the script. Could you at least ask them? It's like, all right, I'll ask them. So he approached Blockbuster, and basically they said, not only do we want it, but we will protect you when Paramount comes knocking at our door, and we will make sure that you release it, because these well, we would call them later mockbusters, do very well for us, and it's a public domain. We're not going to get into trouble. We want to do this, and so do it. So we got to go ahead in December. We were shooting in January of 2005, and we released it in May. And to this day, it's our biggest seller. And true to form, Paramount did come in and they knocked at the door and they said, if you don't pull this, we're going to pull all of our titles. And the head of Blockbuster said, pull the titles. You're not going to tell us how to do business. Of course,
that's great.
He probably should listen to them, because of course, eventually they went bankrupt.
Didn't work out so well.
Didn't work out so well. Not necessarily because of War of the Worlds,
right?
But for other things. But it was great to have that protection, and because it did so well, we did another film after that was Mockbusters. And so the Mockbuster kind of trajectory started at that point. That was the base point. And so, and so from there, we kind of, a lot of our buyers wanted kind of Mockbusters, things that are going on in the studios, that we could make at a lower price point that the audience will still like. So
it's a perception too of
it's the reason why I think the mockbusters do well is because they ride off of the interest of the audience. So if the audience wants to see transforming robots, well, they're going to see other movies about transforming robots. Right. If they don't want to see a movie about an exorcism, they're not, and it doesn't do well, they're not going to want to see ours because they just don't want to see an exorcism movie.
Right.
So that's where it kind of falls apart when the studio version.
So it's still a gamble, even when you have a formula that seems to work for you.
It's still a gamble.
There's no guarantees in this business.
No guarantee in business. Yes.
I worked with Roger Corman.
I've heard of him
early on.
Yes.
And the King of Schlock, and that's where I learned filmmaking, and I kept my mouth shut, and I starred in a lot of his movies, but I learned a lot.
Sure.
By watching these guys.
He's fantastic.
And it was any influence on you? Any connection with Roger?
Well, no.
Okay, moving on.
Because quite frankly, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, I looked at myself and said, "Oh, Spielberg was my model," and all those guys, Lucas and Donner and all of them, and the big studios were my goal. Okay, so the B movies, the C movies, I had no interest. They looked cheap, and it was not my cup of tea.
Gonna watch that cheap shit.
And I've told the story before, but I'll say it again, which is that my biggest thing was I just don't want to be like Larry Cohen. Okay,
I love Larry Cohen.
Well, here's my story about Larry Cohen.
Cohen
is because he made schlocky films that it's like I don't this is a world that I don't get. I think he's not invested. Whatever. Anyways, flash forward, I dated his daughter in college, and I got to know Larry very well, and I just
nice Jewish boy.
I got to tell you, my favorite stories are from Larry. My favorite films are from Larry now. I mean, it opened my world up. It wasn't a guy throwing away, his creativity or whatever. Right. It was a guy investing in his creativity. It was a guy investing into these stories and really making something special. And so because of that, it was like, I did a complete turn about, my perception of this B-movie genre that changed my life, and I would be lucky to have 1/10 of what he did and what he stood for and his position in the world and everything else. So I came into it very late in the game.
Right.
So I didn't really know about Stuart Gordon. I didn't know about Roger Corman. I didn't know about all these guys because that wasn't in my world. Eventually, it became my world, and so I'm a little more educated on it, and it's amazing what they do, and I have so much respect for what they went through and how they did it, and they did it on their own terms and their independence and whatnot, and it's phenomenal. So
he created The Invaders.
Yes,
one of my favorite series growing up, the sci-fi series.
Yes, I mean there's. You can't look. You can point to the big shiny films, the Spielbergs and those guys, but everyone, 99% of the other stuff are people from Larry Cohen and Sam Arkoff and these guys that really created the industry. And if not them, then we wouldn't be here in a lot of ways.
Broke a lot of boundaries.
Absolutely. And so, so the short answer to a long answer is that Roger
still
Corman,
on that question?
Is that Roger Corman didn't influence me because I really didn't get to it till late in the game.
Right.
But I've met Roger a couple times, and he's still with it, and he's still very acutely aware of what's going on. And which I say that because my parents were younger when they died, but I get as you get older, that's not the easiest thing, is to be mentally acute and aware, and he is on all aspects and knows more about this industry than anybody else, and it's it's an honor to be in the same space. In that I'm nowhere near where he is, but
I think though in a lot of ways you've surpassed Roger.
Oh no,
because he had a certain format, if I spend and you do the same sort of thing. You know what a movie costs, you know what it can make. You go, if we do it under this, we know we're going to make this. He had a certain model, but he never went beyond the model, even though he had the money. And that was the one thing that I said, man, if step it up a little bit.
But when he did Frankenstein, he was given millions, and he did that.
Right.
Given the opportunity, he took it and did things with it.
Right.
Look, back, more than 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was difficult and expensive to make movies. Now everyone has an iPhone, and it's easy to kind of put together.
Yeah.
You can make it for a fraction of the cost. So if you were a certain director, you were that director. And so the risk of putting that same director into a different genre or giving that person more money was a huge risk, to the money people, in mind. Now, I have someone like Anthony Ferrante, who is our in-house director, who directed Sharknado, but he was a horror guy at first. And he's now done rom-coms, he's done westerns, he's done, and because he's talented and he's very good at what he does as a director, and he's not pigeonholed because we don't have to, the risk of investing that money isn't as great as it was when Roger was doing these things. So I don't fault him, because I think he probably would have taken advantage of those things had he been given more opportunity. I know his brother was an executive over at the studios, but he played in the space that he was comfortable in.
Yeah.
And when given the opportunity, he did it, just like with us, with doing the TV series or getting higher in the budgets with Sharknado and that kind of stuff. I mean, we don't go out there saying, let's go make the cheapest movie that we could make.
Right.
But that's because we understand the market. We can only make the movie for how much the market's going to pay for it. So, if not a little bit cheaper, so that we could actually pay our employees. And so we don't, I know my partner, David, and to some extent, Paul, they push the boundaries to try and get the bigger, deal.
Sure.
But it's just not always available.
No. And Christopher Ray is your executive in charge of production. I used to work for his father, Fred Olin Ray.
Sure.
Did movies for him, and I learned from him and Jim Wynorski, and who was directing for Roger Corman. I learned so much for these guys. I had the pleasure of just doing Ape versus Mecha Ape with Tom Arnold, and I look at the list of actors that you've been able to get for these films: Linda Hamilton, John Savage, John Hurd, Bruce Davison, Michael Madsen, Christopher Lloyd, Eric Roberts, Vivica Fox, Lou Ferrigno, Sean Young, Tom Sizemore, Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah. Dick Van
Did
Dyke.
an Asylum film, Casper Van Dien, Ian Ziering, of course, and does such a great job on all the Sharknado films. You don't get talent like that
Unless you write him a check?
unless you write him a check.
Yeah, there you go.
And you spend
Okay.
some money. But listen, they see the value too in this stuff. And
They look. I feel like you're not going to go to the asylum because you want the big paycheck. You go and work at the asylum because we offer you opportunity to work, and also maybe in a genre that you're not used to.
or a script that's fun. They read and they go, "Hey, this might be kind of fun."
I don't know if anyone reads the script, but we'll assume they do.
Peruse the script.
Yes, see the title page. They like to act. I mean, actors like to. I'm married to an actress. She loves to act. I mean, it's not about the paycheck. It's about, getting the ability to perform. And because we make 2 to 5 movies a month, I mean, we have a lot of opportunity to act. And some of these guys also like to direct too. So it's we've had a lot of actors that have gotten their first time, like Casper Van Dien.
Sure.
His first directorial film was with us. Thomas Howell, his first film was with us. And they're so good. They're so good.
It gives them an opportunity to. The studios aren't going to let them direct anything.
Not really, no.
It gives them a chance to stretch their legs and do something. I think everybody would like to direct. Most of them don't have the talent, but they'd like to.
Acting is anything in this business is it's freelance and it's difficult. I mean, it's it's job to job, and it's a tough business to be in. To survive in it. I'm grateful for the opportunities that we have and that we've given people, and the longevity of the company and what we built. It's a family in a lot of ways, it's great. Someone like Chris, who's been with us, Chris Olin Ray, who's been with us for 15 plus years, maybe 20.
Sure.
I mean, he's probably worked on over 100 movies with us. Anthony,
that's incredibly valuable.
It is.
He knows how to do it, and he knows how to do it your way, and he enjoys doing it, and he loves it.
Right. And I think we surround ourselves with people who are very passionate about making movies, and we still have this mentality of, I would say, of working out of the apartment, and where it's like, hey, my mom can make the curtains, and we haven't really gotten to this institutional studio mindset. At least I don't think we have. Maybe you talk to some of the other employees and it might be different, but for the most part, it's kind of a family. I've always called it a family, and
Sure.
And it's good to see people after all these years, and we're getting older. it's pretty crazy.
Time drags on.
You look the same though.
It's the Dick Clark injections.
Oh my gosh!
I've been doing it. It's the only way that works.
Using his stem cells. You want to tap dance? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bermuda Tentacles was the first film I did for you guys. I auditioned for a lot of stuff over the years, and it was a great one. Linda Hamilton, John Savage, Jamie Kennedy,
Tate Donovan,
who played a serious scientist.
Yeah.
Which was really against type, but he was great.
He was great. We hired him again for a thriller where he played the psycho bad guy because he's so good. And we just did a horror film that we tried to get him in, but his schedule just collapsed. Because he's an active stand-up comedian, so we couldn't work around his tour schedule. But I can't wait to work with him again. Just a terrific guy and a terrific actor, but yes, going against type, it's great.
My understanding it was a little bit higher budget.
Yes.
Than your normal films, and it shows, obviously, to get Linda Hamilton and people like that. But the visual effects were amazing.
We've lucked out over the years. I mean, we've had different teams come in, but pretty consistent. Our head visual effects guy has been with us even before he was an employee.
Glenn Campbell.
Glenn Campbell.
Glenn and I were tour guides at Universal Studios together. I don't know if you knew that. In the 80s, I was.
Oh my goodness! Well, he worked on Blade Runner, the first one. He worked on Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Did he? I didn't know that. He's amazing.
He's and his team that he assembled is top notch, and it's so fun to see the creations, on a daily basis, because they're usually doing about 100 shots per show, and they have 2 weeks to do it, and they're all overlapping. So they'll do a couple hundred a week that we'll look at, and the worst ones are still great, and then they just get better.
Yeah. Well, the trailer for Bermuda Tentacles just blew me away. I still love watching it over and over again. In fact, I think we've got it. Let's take a look.
Great.
We got our flying strapped in, Mr. President.
We are flying over the Bermuda Triangle, after all.
Trying to save you! Good luck, sir.
Morning, Sergeant Oliver. We have a situation.
You and your team
At ease.
will rescue the president.
Booyah!
I'm ready to rock.
Let's do this.
Hey, Revis.
All ships authorized to engage. Authorized to...
We've landed in what appears to be an underwater cavern.
People will die!
We got something coming in starboard side, and it's big.
You really think this is gonna work?
You destroy the hell out of that ship.
Nice and easy.
Now that's a kick-ass trailer.
There you go. We do good trailers.
You do great trailers. Directed by the fabulous Nick Lyon.
Oh, sure. Nick's an old one, too, with us.
Nick is great. He did Titanic 666.
He did.
Was that your first film with Tubi?
Wasn't our first film with Tubi.
You
but,
made a deal with Tubi.
We did. We a multi-picture deal with Tubi, various genres. I mean, we're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and they are too. I mean, they probably know by now. It's been a few years, but so we've done a musical, horror, westerns.
He's a very versatile director too.
Oh, Nick?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And Nick's done multiple genres with us, from zombies and tentacles to rom-coms and Christmas and.
See him directing a rom-com.
Oh yeah, a beautiful one. Christmas in Vienna was. I mean, it was a Christmas.
Can
movie,
only happen in Vienna.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Christmas is nowhere else in the country.
And Max Elfelt, who I think directed. You were in Bachelor Nights, right?
No.
Ah, darn it! I got it.
Name more movies
that you're not
I
in?
wasn't in.
Oh boy, we can
embarrass
go.
me.
Yeah.
Nationwide, millions of people.
We'll get you in
are
something.
watching
This is
this.
a promise. He'll be in more. He'll be in more. So you can do our 50th anniversary.
50th, that's right. And I'll still look the same. It'll be
will
crazy.
still be the same. Yeah, still the same.
So you created a faith-based division, and you did a Christian version of High School Musical.
Right. Yes, we did.
I want to hear that story.
I think they were at a convention, my partners, and they said, "Boy, what would really be good because High School Musical is coming out. We had a faith-based one
Because we're so Christian."
Yeah. So I don't know what. I think it was a convention with the video distributors, and so he said, "Well, we'll go make a Sunday School Musical," and that was directed by Rachel Goldenberg, who absolutely one of my favorite directors. To this day, I just it's such a joyful movie that was so difficult to put together because we had choreography and music and the whole night and
it was what PG. It was family friendly, right?
Very family friendly. I mean, this would be G. They Faith. The label was
even
called
say
Faith
gosh.
Films. Yeah,
In that,
I mean, one of the reasons why we kind of
golly, no, we can't say that.
ended the Faith Films label is because the audience for the Faith Films is really intense, kind of like a sci-fi audience or a horror audience, except so it's like, oh, that's not the right garlic for Dracula. It's like, they have the same problems with faith-based movies, and so we would get dinged on things that you can't control, like, oh, that actor did a rated R movie and they said damn. Right. It's like, so we can't pick it up now in our family based movie. It's like, wow. What are you talking about? And so it was so kind of out of control in that way that it just profitability wise didn't really make sense. We made a few, and I'm really happy with those films, but again, it was just it's an audience that you really got to be all in, and it just was too complicated.
But you did it.
But we did it.
We did it. And chance. You tried something new. And
absolutely. One of the great things about.
How did it do?
I don't know. I think I quit with these movies after once the show is done shooting, I'm out. My partners take over, distribution takes over, and I'm kind of if I end up seeing the finished film, it'll be a shock. It's usually at a screening like Mega Ape, where I'll see the film for the first time put together. My partner David kind of handles all the post stuff on it. I oversee it, and if there's a problem, I get the phone call. We need to reshoot something. We need, there's a problem here. Why didn't this work? It's like, all right. But otherwise, I'm again busy producing so many shows during the month that it's very difficult for me to, on top of that, do post stuff. So I've strategically pulled my way from that, and I also don't necessarily deal with the distribution. So distribution-wise, if someone says, hey, I saw the movie in a theater, or I saw it on this station, I'd be, okay, good. I didn't even know we released it, which is not a great way to micromanage a company. But again, it's just trying to manage the few hours that I have, during the day and night to get these things. I mean,
you can only do so much, but everybody really does pull their own weight. Yeah, everybody has their niche, and they do it well, and you guys are gelled together beautifully.
It seems it's very organized chaos. It seems to work. We're all very hyphenated people, so it's if one doesn't do one thing, we can kind of handle the other. I mean, in emergencies, I can go to the sales meetings and almost sound intelligent. It's not my favorite thing to do, but to sound intelligent, because that's a lot of work for me. But yeah, we have a great support team, and we have about 45 employees.
Wow,
and that doesn't include production for the most part. Production's a freelance business. Sure. So although we have in-house people, so we have about 45 people. About half of those people are sales and distribution and accounting. So all the money things and the contract things and the business admin things, and they're phenomenal and fantastic and are great at what they do. So I don't have to necessarily worry about that stuff anyway.
Well, I want to get back to Titanic 666 real quick. What a great premise that was. A new cruise ship, Titanic 2, is on its maiden voyage. There's artifacts and antiques from the original Titanic on board, and the spirits that are attached to these objects come alive and start killing everybody. That's brilliant. Now, you shot it on the Queen Mary, didn't you? Mm-hmm. You shot it on a haunted ship.
Yes.
There had to be some crazy shit that went on.
Since
it's haunted. Everybody knows it's haunted.
Yeah, I'd like to be more colorful about it, but since I don't believe in any of that voodoo stuff, it doesn't really affect me. And quite frankly, I wasn't necessarily. I mean, I was on set quite a bit, but not enough for things to be haunted. I will say that, like, the wardrobe person came in or whoever says, "Oh my God, I was downstairs and whatever happened." Right. So it's like, it's always kind of removed from me. Right. But I'm like, okay.
Well, you don't want any part of it. Yeah, you deal with the demons.
The one thing is we got a private tour of the ship, which was great, and so we did see some of the haunted, stuff where people, thought they saw things, and that was neat. Yeah.
So you're absolutely staunchly against ghosts and the supernatural world.
They're great
for belief at all.
They're great for stories. I like telling the stories. Yeah. And we say this, and then tonight I'll be visited by 3 ghosts. I get the irony of this.
What do you mean you don't believe in us?
Do you believe now?
Your face gets ripped off. We're going to take a quick break. My gosh, the time flies when we're having fun. We're going to do a quick break. Check out teaser for my series, SFN, Science Fiction News.
And this is James Hong. You're watching Science Fiction News. SFN coming your way.
David Michael Latt from The Asylum. You've got a new TV series coming up.
We do. It's called Disaster Strike Force. It stars Grant Bowler and Mackenzie Westmore and
Michael Westmore's daughter.
Yes, from Face Off. It's one of those things.
He did my makeup on Star Trek.
Oh my goodness!
The Next Generation.
There you go.
See how I bring it all back to me?
It always comes back to you. Yeah, it's a
plug myself sometime. He's a great guy, and she's sweet too.
Oh, amazing. And that was just one of those things where we were casting for the series, and she called up. She said, "I'm bored. What do you got?" I'm like, "Well, you know, it doesn't pay well. This is what it is. You're not going to like this,
but we got a series."
And she read it. She's like, "Oh my God, I want in," because it's a fun show, and she's the one who brought in Grant. She's like, I got a great actor for you, and Grant was phenomenal. I mean, just really brought in gravitas, not just because of the accent, but because he's a really good actor.
I don't know Grant.
He's from Sci-Fi World.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
And a few other people I'm probably forgetting that I should remember. Who Tyler Christopher's in it, a soap opera guy. Anyways, the bottom. Of course,
Did I tell you I worked with Tyler No.
And Billy Baldwin's in it.
Billy's great.
Billy's
He's
great.
done other movies for you guys.
And basically, it's very much in our Asylum world. It is a disaster series. It is about a family that that are able to, because they're so special, stop the giant earthquake, the big volcano eruption, the upcoming ice age.
Big disaster of the week.
Pretty much. And ultimately, there's a tapestry that it all makes sense and works. And then if we go into season 2, we'll be able to, we could play with that, and we have kind of where we want to go in a 5-season arc. But this will be playing on our, most likely on our Fast Channel platforms, our Asylum movie channel, that kind of thing. We have not released it yet. We've released them as individual movies. So basically, you have this series, but so some places are 2 episodes will be equal to a movie, 45 minutes each, and so
that's smart.
And so some people just know us as movies and not television, even though we do Z Nation and Black Summer and everything else. But so in some markets, it's being released as one movie, so 20.0 Megaquake or Super Volcano, and but it'll just happen to have the same characters that kind of play into that. But
same script.
Not the same script, but there is a through line, so you can watch them as 3 movies as a series, but it really is a 6 episode series, and so that's how we're trying to position it domestically. I don't think this has been released domestically yet in that way. I think we're going to make a big announcement at. I might have blown the announcement right now. Who knows? Because again, I don't deal with distribution, so during
just
Comic-Con,
forget everything.
Or this is an exclusive.
So you heard it here first, folks.
That's right. But I think at Comic-Con we're going to do something big with that. We're also doing something big at Comic-Con, which is our big 10-year anniversary for Sharknado release. 10 years. Wow. 10 years.
That's crazy.
Crazy. I mean, 25
7
years.
Movies?
6.
6 and 10.
Although it feels like 7. Yeah.
Feels like 7.5.
Yeah. So we're re-releasing the original. We are juicing it with making it 4K. We're going to change some of the visual effects and to kind of upgrade them to make them better. I don't know.
Sure.
Put the George Lucas Star Wars, makeover on it. And just kind of like, and I know Anthony, the director, wants to include some additional footage and stuff. So
sure, there's a ton of stuff that didn't make it in there.
Yeah, and I think they're pitching it now at CinemaCon for a theatrical, like a lot of theaters kind of thing. It'll be new for us in the way we platform, these movies, and I'm just very excited by it. It's just a fun little 10 years, and it's our biggest show to date. So it's a fun little party. Well, maybe not at the Pier.
Well, you deserve it, David. I thank you for everything you've done for me, and you've got a great team and your production staff. Everybody's wonderful. What do you want to tell the fans out there?
Oh goodness. Well, look. First of all, thank you for watching the shows that we make, and just understand we have a great deal of passion and fun making them, and enjoy putting them out there for you to see, and enjoy interacting with the fans too. So feel free to write letters. We get a lot of hope you die letters, so it's always nice to get some good positive feedback. And just understand that we all enjoy what we do, which is really just a wonderful opportunity and to get through this life with something that you love doing. So. And
what do you want to tell the future filmmakers out there?
Don't say no.
Don't do it.
No.
Don't run.
Like everything else, it's going to be a different business now. It's a different business now than it was 20 years ago. Than it was, when Roger Corman was making movies. It'll be different 20 years from now. And I think the big thing is be passionate about what you do.
Yep.
That's going to really sustain you. Don't be foolish in what's important in life too, because family is important, and you don't want to bypass those opportunities too for the bigger things, because at the end of the day, you can have a couple movies, but having a spouse and kids is good too if that's important to you. It's important to me. So that was I think you don't want to give up. I know people that did give that up because they were chasing the bigger picture. And don't say no to opportunity too. I think the filmmakers of today are a lot more flexible because there's a lot more opportunity of things going on, and so you could present yourself very creatively, find different avenues of what to do. I certainly I love learning new technology and whatnot, but it's definitely a younger person's world out there in that regard. Is. And there's so much great things to do. I'm very jealous.
Well, it's so easy. You can make a movie on your phone. You can edit it on your computer. It's we had to shoot film and get it developed, and it's so much easier. I always just say, do it, make it. Even if you fail, you're going to learn. Just get out there and do it.
Absolutely.
David, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Jeff.
It's a pleasure. God bless you. We'll see you next time on Out There.